to another episode of I Missed Out. I am author R.G. Long. I write the books, and today I want to tell you about another great fantasy thing that for one reason or another I just missed out on. Now, there may be some belief that an author is also a fantastic reader and that we devour books just as fast as our most avid readers. And I have to tell you, unfortunately for me, that's just not true. The reality is I'm a really slow reader. Now, that is great when I'm wanting to read for fun and just enjoy a book that's in front of me, but unfortunately when I'm trying to learn and study and enjoy the genre and things like that, I wish I was a much faster reader, especially when a reader emails me and says, "Ronald, loved your book, I just finished it." And I'm like, "I published that 2 days ago." I appreciate you fast readers, y'all are great. I'm not one of you. Now, you might already be familiar with the massive Wheel of Time series. This thing is huge. Okay, so somebody who's writing 15 books right now, I appreciate it, but my books are nowhere near the length of these fantastic tomes over here. The Wheel of Time series is massive. It would take up more than just one shelf in your house, right? And just looking at these covers, all here front to back, it just looks like an epic fantasy tale, doesn't it? For me, it just feels fantastic. And see all of these covers all lined up, this is something worth shouting about and being excited about. And you probably should, because the first book of this was published in 1990, and the last one was published in 2013. And it got finished. Take that, George R.R. Martin. Now, the guy who started the series was author Robert Jordan. Now, if you're unfamiliar with who Robert Jordan is, the Wheel of Time series is his most famous work. But before I kind of researched a little bit into this, I didn't know that he also wrote about 8 original Conan the Barbarian stories as well. He did those in the late 70s, early 80s. Until in the 1990s, he released The Wheel of Time, the first in his series. Now, unfortunately, Robert Jordan passed away from cancer before he was able to finish his epic tale. And his editor and his wife chose as the person who was going to finish the story and write the one last book is a guy named Brandon Sanderson. You might be familiar with Brandon Sanderson's work with the Stormlight Archive, the first book I actually have finished, slow reading notwithstanding, right? I have finished A Way of Kings and absolutely loved it. But his wife and Robert Jordan's wife and his editor decided that Brandon Sanderson was going to be the guy who was going to finish the last book in the Wheel of Time series. Now, you might not be surprised to find out they looked at Robert Jordan's notes and discovered that, okay, this isn't just one book. This is actually going to be 3 books long. So Sanderson got himself not only writing one book in the Wheel of Time series, but 3. And some people say that his own writing notwithstanding, being picked as the guy to finish Robert Jordan's epic Wheel of Time series was one of the things that really boosted Sanderson's career. And honestly, reading A Way of Kings, he's a phenomenal writer, and I'm really glad that they chose him. But unfortunately, the Wheel of Time series is not one that I've read. Now, I have done a little bit of digging here. The story sounds epic. All right, did you see this map that you've got here? All of these countries and nations that they have represented is absolutely phenomenal. Now, again, spoilers if you have not read the Wheel of Time series and want to. Are you still here? You gone? Okay, great. Now, if you are planning on reading the Wheel of Time series, you actually find out that this world that we're dealing with here is some version of Earth previously, in the future, and possibly even in the past. Hence the wheel, circular, yeah, that thing. So it's a really neat idea, and I'm into it. It sounds great, but unfortunately, it's just something that I didn't pick up. Now, everyone is probably talking about the Wheel of Time series because there's going to be a live action series done by Amazon. They have the cast already selected and they're working on the screen. They're working on shooting it right now, and seeing as how other fantastic nerdy shows like The Witcher and this new Lord of the Rings that they're coming out with are gaining in popularity as well, I have high hopes for this. This might be a lot of chance for people to find out how they can get into the Wheel of Time series, just like they did with some other, epic fantasy shows, like the ones that I've missed out on as well, and I'll talk about it at some other point. Game of Thrones. Okay, yeah, we're there. But the deal is, I just missed out on this series. Now, I started reading A Wheel of Time when I was in middle school. And if you've been following this channel for a little bit of time, you'll understand that middle school was really formative for Ronald. This is when I really was diving into what it meant to be a nerd, someone who loved fantasy. And I got my hands on a copy of Wheel of Time, and I remember reading it and enjoying it. But at the time, there was just something that didn't quite capture my imagination. Now, I remember the first stories where they were talking about this village being attacked, and the experienced warrior and the magic user coming in and kind of swooping up the inexperienced Rand and taking him along on their adventure, and the books that they were selling and all this kind of stuff. It was really fascinating to me, so much so that I remember reading it and can picture the scenes in my mind right now, but I just missed out on this whole series. Maybe it's because it's so big that I felt kind of defeated by the time I got around to it. I didn't think I could really tackle a 14-book series, but now that I'm an author, I realize that's what I kind of hope people do with my stuff. I want them to tackle all the books. So for one reason or another, when this was really popular and really coming out, I missed out on it. Now maybe I'll have a chance to pick it back up again, especially now that the TV series is coming out, especially now that more people are interested in it, and I know I'm going to be reading an absolute complete series. I'm looking at you, George R.R. Martin. Don't let me finish my books before you do, sir. I can't threaten him. He's awesome. So here's the deal. I just missed out on it because I am a slow reader. Now, I know that shouldn't deter me from starting really big epic fantasies, and I hope it doesn't deter you either. I hope that if you enjoy big epic fantasies, you would check out A Wheel of Time. It's got great reviews and other people really enjoy it, but it's just a part of fantasy culture that I have missed out on. Hey, if you want to tell me something that you think, well, I call myself a nerd, but I've missed out on this thing, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what your experience is and what you think, oh, this seems really popular, but it's just not something I've ever gotten into. I'd love to hear it. And if you're enjoying this channel and the videos I'm producing, do me a favor, hit this little cool subscribe orb over here, like and subscribe to my channel. I put out a new video every single weekday, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. I hope you have a great day and enjoy the journey.